Alright, so this week's parsha is Tazriah and Mitzvah, and the parsha starts off with Dabar Shem Lemar, right? Shem spoke to Moshe saying, Dabar Bnei Yisrael Lemar, Isha ki Tazriah v'Yoda Zachar v'Tama Shiv'as Yom Kimein Yidas Devoisa Tifka. That when a woman gives birth, she goes through a process of Tama, right? And then the next pasuk says, Uvayam Hashmini Yimol B'Sar Arlo, so that there's the 8th day. You're going to have a milah, like we know, like we've learned previously in the Torah. So, right, some questions. First of all, what is this? When we say tumah, what do we mean? Right. So you can classify it as the laws that pertain to tumah, meaning you can't touch certain, you can't touch truma, you can't go to the base of mikdash, you can't do certain activities, right? And there's also different aspects of tumah itself, right? When it comes to the Yaledes specifically, which is a woman who gives birth, right? She has a certain period of tumah. Her process of tumah is very weird. It's very different amount of time. And for example, there's difference between whether or not she has a boy or a girl. It actually makes a difference in her tumah, meaning that she has an actual difference between whether she has a boy or girl. It seems weird. So I don't understand what this pasuk is telling us and what the idea of tumah with the Yaledes and other things are. Also, I want to know also how bris milah has anything to do with this. You have to understand what tumah is. Now the Rambam has a very clear statement that says basically, the laws of tumah and tahara are just beyond our understanding. There's something spiritual, there's something not be able to be comprehended. But the Rav from Hirsch doesn't seem to. I don't know if he's arguing with the Rambam or just giving a different explanation. I'm not sure, but he gives an explanation. And he says that tumah. What tumah really is something very grounded. It is the physical necessity. Tumah represents the physical necessity of your body. The fact that when you go through all these different processes, specifically like Yaledes, right? You go through this painful 9 months of pregnancy with all these weird different things. And you go through a very painful experience of childbirth, right? It hurts, right? Then there's other experiences also. The other things that you come to me for also, right? Sava, Mitzora, and like mace or any of these other things, right? What happens is all these things of tumah represent your limitations basically as a human being. They represent when you see a dead body, you're reminded of death. When you see a sheretz, you're reminded of death. When you see pain, you're reminded of the limitations of your physical body. Which brings you back to the idea, if you see limitations, if you see all these things, it brings you back to the idea of free will. So basically, if this is going to happen regardless, I can't change it. There's no way I can have a baby and not get pregnant. There's no, not me, but right? You can't go through the process. It's not possible. There's no other way to do it. It's a limitation. It seems to be that no matter which way I go, I will go through this so-called pain. So all these things, all these different things, make you think about the question of free will. How can seemingly bad things, happen to me specifically, or good people? And therefore, because these events and these different situations make you doubt this question, make you think of the question of free will, the Torah wants to give you a way to overcome that. And the way to do that is a literal waiting period of time that you take to really consider this question and really dwell on it. Right? It's also why there's different time periods. Right? Why is a mace 7 days and why is the other sheretz only 1? Correct, right? Why is there a different? The point is that when you see a dead body, it reminds you way more than a sheretz. You're reminded of the frailty of a human being. Has more precedence. When you're reminded of when you use yourself physical pain, it reminds you of this question much more. We like to believe that it's all philosophical. Like how could other people die? How's that? Really, when you really have this question, it's really when personal pain, it's physical or thing. But what happens is that you have a psychological effect of I'm limited, right? I'm just a object in this master, some sort of plan here. So the point of this period is for you to dwell on this and to really come to a proper conclusion, which is the same reason of to not dwell on the question, to work on this idea of free will, right? It's the same reason why the waiting period, as time goes on, you get seems like less tumah, right? After 7 days, you are allowed to, I'm pretty sure, eat or touch truma, right? So you have less truma. The point is that you have more understanding. The more time goes on, you get more understanding, more proper, you're able to deal with your situation better, right? But even if you say that the whole purpose of these things is so you can deal with the question of free will, right? The passing of that the point of waiting is to overcome this. Then you still don't answer the question, what does that have to do with Mila? So even if you have an understanding of what the purpose of doing all these things are, so the answer, what does it have to do with Mila? What's the relation to that? So right, so this goes back to the previous question, like what meaning, I mentioned that when it comes to Yeledes, there's a difference, a waiting period between a boy and a girl. And according to this answer, the whole point of this, what it means when it says Tumah is that you've come to a situation that you will question free will, basically. So why will I question more with a boy or a girl? Like what's the difference? I'm actually going to make a difference in my thought process. And in order to understand, you have to understand Mila. I'll explain that when what is Mila? So we know what Mila is basically the covenant of bris between us and God and our obligation and our fulfillment, and the reminder to do that, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? So even if we know that's true, but what does this do with, why do we mention it again? This is a repetition. Why do we mention Mila again over here? What is the relevance to Yeledes? What's the relevance to Yeledes? And the answer is learned out from one of the halachos that you learn out from the fact we mention Mila here. One of the reasons is to learn halacha. So to the Yom HaShmini, right, on the 8th day. So we say the fact that it says Bayom is, first of all, you do it, has to be that day, and also that if the 8th day is on Shabbos, you still do Mila. You still have an obligation to do Mila, even though the Shabbos is right. So Mila is like one supersedes the other, basically. So in order to understand why they do that, right, we understand that Mila, the whole point of it is to basically remind us of our servitude to Kadosh Baruch Hu, which is, if you think about it, the ultimate use of free will. The ultimate use of free will is to serve Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's the ultimate freedom. So if Mila is is the expression of ultimate freedom, then what does Shabbos have to do with that, right? I mean, what is the relation between Shabbos and Mila? And the answer is that what Shabbos really is the Shabbos of creation. It's the reminder of the fact that Hashem created everything. He's the master of everything. And He is the one who we have to serve and submit ourselves to. Because that is the best expression of free will. And that is why the Mila is mentioned in allness of this Tumah. Because the whole point of Tumah is to strengthen our free wills, to have a waiting period of time to really work on that. And the same idea of Mila. Now, so that answers to what the reason was Mila is to do with Yeledes. But again, what is the difference between boy and girl? I didn't answer that yet. So the difference between boy and girl is that when it comes to a boy, he has Mila. He has something that he can constantly remind himself of to work on this idea of this, to not have this question of free will, to really serve himself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is this constant reminder. Therefore, he needs less than the woman, yeah, right. It needs less time to work on this idea. So what does that have to do with the mother? Right, that's to do with the genders. What's to do with the mother? The answer is that the reason why she has double period is not just for her own spiritual fulfillment. It's because the mother and the father are supposed to be the kid's role model. They are the epitome. They're most of their influence of the kid's life, most of how they would turn out is based on their parents. So the 50% of the time that the mother has to go through a process of thinking about this question of free will and everything, right? Really not letting the fact that she went through this tremendous pain overtake her, is going to be less. She doesn't have to do it as much for the man because she's not the one responsible for his real upbringing. The son goes after the father, and the daughter usually goes after the mother. It's the way it usually works. But she has to work on herself if it's a woman. She has to work on that. If she's going to be her daughter's role model, so therefore, it's a girl. She has to work in it more. She has to have more time. And if it's a boy, she has to work in it less because the boy has the Mila, and the father's going to be that figure anyway. Right. so you essentially come out with all this thing that you see that how Mila is connected with Hiladis and the whole thing of Tuma as being just a way, basically a way to work on your serving a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Right, but you don't have this in today's world. We don't have Tuma anymore. You know, the whole thing of Torah seems, when at first I read it, it seems so irrelevant. You know, just like, what does this have to do with anything? Well, this kind of idea makes it very relevant, because even though we don't have the idea of Tuma Taharis without the and everything, we still can work on the whole point, I guess the ashkafa of it. We still work on this idea of free will and serving Kadosh Baruch Hu. When you think about it, this I don't know if this is true, but maybe this is why our society struggles with this question so much. Every Shmo has the same question as to how can God do these, the Holocaust, how could God do this, how could God do that? So maybe this is why, because we haven't worked on this factor enough, because we lack tumas, we lack things that were previously there in order to work in it. So in order to really work in this, you'd have to, I guess, work in the Ashkafa through other means, like Shabbos or Mila, which are much easier to relate to. So give it all bracha that we should all be able to connect to the real purpose of Shabbos and Mila, and that we should all try to gain the proper perspective in this manner.
Can anybody tell me, except those who have known, what is this? Shekel. What? Can you find any similarity between this and something to do with the Sefer of Tazriah? Anyone have any ideas?
Kind of, totally.
A bit puzzling.
Yeah.
Difficult question. Well, how much leprosy has a person got to have to be declared a person with leprosy?
Size of coin.
Sign of a grizz. A grizz about this size. Yeah. So if a person suddenly wakes up one morning and he sees that on him somewhere he's got, skin is a bit discoloured, and it's just this much, not all over, right? Just one little patch. We get in touch with the Kohen, and if the Kohen understands that it's Saras, his whole world gets turned upside down. He has to leave his home. Can my wife go with me? No way. What about my kids? You'll have to make some... What about business? I'm going to run a business. No way. Outside. And he has to go into total isolation. And he stays there until it clears up. Now if he does teshuvah, fine. He can go quite good. But if he doesn't do 100% teshuvah, he can be stuck outside the camp for months and for even years until he does teshuvah. And he wakes up one day and he sees it's vanished. He phones up the Kohen, and the Kohen says, well, I come and look for it, and he says, can I go home now? It's gone. Oh, no. There's a whole process, takes at least a couple of weeks to get him back. That's a good. With cheeseburgers, with korbanos, with this, with that, and the other. Chodesh Chaim brings in the Sefer, if a person's contaminated with radioactivity, so he can't mix amongst people. He has to be right outside, and to protect the person against it, it needs a lot of great effort. In the same way, the avera of speaking Lashon Hara is considered such a grave avera, right? That if a person insists and the person speaks Lashon Hara, that happens to him. He becomes an outcast. He goes outside. And even when it goes away to be reintroduced into the community, it needs a whole business of different korbanos and two birds and this, that, and the other. So it's worthwhile steering clear of Lashon Hara. If you look at world history, you'll see that major catastrophes that happened in the world, it's all from the Chodesh Chaim, what I'm telling you now, happened because of Lashon Hara. The very first thing with Nachos in Gan Eden, when death was brought into the world, was because of Lashon Hara. The whole Shibud Mitzrayim all started off, Ayova Yosef Es Libosam V'Olaviyah. The whole Shibud Mitzrayim, the whole chorus, was because of Lashon Hara. Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because of Lashon Hara. It's considered a very grave avera. One has to be very careful not to speak Lashon Hara. So it's just the Chodesh Chaim always wants to know, how is it that people, if you would say to a person, you know, this is pork, this is chazik, nobody would dream of eating it. Nobody. The person has to be very far removed from Yiddishkeit to not care. And yet people, right? So as a person's asked to speak and you say to me, hey, you know that's Lashon Hara, So he might answer and say, well, it's true, what I'm telling you is true. Well, that's exactly what Lashon Hara is, to tell you when it's true. If it's not true, then it follows a different thing. It's to do with Moshe Shemra, it's a different thing altogether. So it's worthwhile steering clear. We missed out 3 sedras, and it's nice to see everybody back here, right? Especially as this yeshiva stands supreme. I don't think there's many yeshivas who started early. We won't talk about that you're finishing early, we won't mention that at the moment. But the fact is that they're just starting, all the other yeshivas just, right. So we missed out on 3 sedras, Vayikra, Sav and Shemini. So I've got perhaps something short on each sedra. The first word, Vayikra, Rashi says, Vayikra and Moshe, and he called to Moshe. Says Rashi, that it's an expression of Chavivus, of endearment. Now you couldn't, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the Rebbe, he taught Moshe Torah, and Moshe Rabbeinu was the pupil. Now you couldn't have a better combination than that. I can't imagine a better Talmud than Moshe Rabbeinu. Agree? And I also can't imagine a better Rebbe than Hashem himself. So Hashem was teaching Moshe the Torah. And even so, as a Vayikra, there was an expression of endearment. If a Rebbe wants to make an impact on his pupils, there must be an affection between the Rebbe and the pupil. Those two, and here Baruch Hashem Yeshiva is blessed with, they don't need my haskama at all, but being a fly on the wall and seeing what's going on, there is certainly a very strong connection between the Rebbes of affection, just affection between Rebbes and pupils, which enhances the general learning and the message which is given over. And that's, you find most teachers who are successful have got this element of, they like their pupil. If you ask a teacher, do you like your pupils? And he says, I hate them, so you should answer them and say, you should never ever become a teacher. Right? That's quite an important factor. That's something from the Seder Vayikra. I'll give you a short vote from each. The next Seder after that is Sav. There was there's somebody here who learns in the Kohen, and he's called Weiss, so anyway, now young Navrech. So his father lives in St. Louis in America, and when Reb Shach was ill, he's a professor of medicine, and he's a specialist. So they called him all the way from St. Louis to come here to treat Reb Shach. So they had quite a connection. When we first came here, we just came for Yom Tov, and we were looking for a minyan for the second day. Now it's established, there is a regular minyan here on the second day Yom Tov. And we lived in, I was with my son in Mamot, and we were looking, and he was also, so we walked down and we chatted together. He told me some interesting things. He said to me that in America it's very common that people sue their doctors. If the doctor didn't tell them exactly what's wrong with them, so the patient will sue an enormous amount of money. So he went to a shop with a shaila, right, that he's being sued for an enormous amount of money by some patient, right, and the court case works out in the, this is the story that he told me, it works out in the 9 days. And in Shulchan Aruch it says, if you've got a court case with a non-Jew, you should defer it from the 9 days, because it's not a lucky time for Jewish people. So he went to the Shach to ask him whether he should put it off, try and delay it, or whether he should go ahead with it. So the Shach said to him, you don't have to worry. Sounds like a Hasidic story. This is what he told me. That the Shach told him, you don't have to worry, because it's already been decided by Shamayim that you're going to win the case. So he went ahead and he won the case. Anyway, during our travels together, walking down to Ramot Aleph, so he dabbles a little bit in the Suras HaOshis, the 4 Hebrew letters. Lashon HaKodesh is Lashon HaKodesh, it's not just letters formed by cavemen so many years ago, and so on. Each letter's got a special spot. For example, if you take the letter Aleph, if you look at it carefully, you'll notice the middle part is a Vav, and on both sides there's a Yud on both sides. Yud and Yud is 20 and Vav is 26, Aleph is 1, it's referring to one Hashem. The Aleph indicates that. So each letter has got different applications and different chakras and so on. And he said the letter Mem, it it indicates childbirth. The form of the letter, the baby emerges from down below, right? So the mem has also got an open down below. So so the letter mem brings a message of rebirth. That's why you find 40. The Mabul was 40 days and 40 nights. It was the rebirth of the whole world. The Eden in the midbirth of 40 years. The Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai for 40 days. So this indicates a new thing. And when in the Sedra Sav, that's the second Sedra, we'll try and quickly get through something from each Sedra. The Sedra Sav, it says, in the beginning, it says, Al-Mokdah, the fire on the Mizbeach should be Al-Mokdah on the fireplace. Kol hayom v'chol halayla, there's a pasuk there. And that mem there's a very small mem there. Right? So for years and years and years I was puzzled, why is there a small mem? I looked up this sefer and that sefer, and didn't make any headway. One bright day I was teaching a class there, and a small boy, he says, if you count the letters from the beginning of the pasuk to that letter mem, you'll find there are 40 letters. So you count the letters from the beginning, not words, letters. So the mem is the 40th letter. Why is there a mem? Because it's talking about a carbon. And also the same idea when the Yid came to the Beis HaMikdash in the Avodat HaCarbon, it wasn't just the Avodat HaCarbon to Hashem. He had to see himself as if he was totally and completely giving himself over to Hashem. So it was also like an union of a rebirth, something which was new. So that's something from the Sedra Sav. Something from the Sedra Shmini. Shmini deals with, how are we doing for time? Deals with kashrus. We all know that for an animal to be kosher, it has to chew the cud and has to have cloven hooves. Now, the Esav is compared to a chazir, right? Because he went to his father and he asked his father shilas and questions. He gave an impression as if it's kosher. Most animals, when they sleep with their legs under the cow. When it sleeps, it tucks its feet under it. A pig lies flat out and it sticks out its feet, and it's as if to say, look, I'm kosher. So Esav is compared to a chazir. Yishmael, the Ishmaelites are compared to a camel. Now, the difference between the two is that feet indicate, I'm not sure who I heard this from, but it's not my own idea, certainly, right? The idea of feet is movement, progress. Esav is, the guy generally splits up into two groups. You've got Esav, descendants of Esav, and the Ishmaelim. One in every 4 person in the world happens to be a Muslim. Didn't really know that. 1 in 4. You hear some interesting things occasionally. Right? In the whole years ago, 25, 30, 40 years, you didn't hear of Arabs. You thought of an Arab on a camel somewhere in the desert. Suddenly, and it's all been foreseen by Chazal for years. And what they say, you see it actually happening in front of your own eyes. These things don't even really need a mullah for it. But the difference between and the other part of the world is Esav. Esav is all that Russia and all the different coins. Now they are well advanced. They move forward in technology. Technology is awesome nowadays. Right? When they wanted to put a man on the moon, right, it needed a whole hall of computers. When they achieved this great achievement, what they achieved from it, I'm still puzzled to know. So what? So what did they achieve? But anyway, nowadays you can have a attacher case, and in that attacher case you can have all the equipment, all the computers that you need to do that job. Our Samer have got a room there which have got tapes. The whole room is full of cabinets, and each cabinet's got literally thousands of tapes with different Rabbonim and different Shurim and different this and different that. And in the middle there's also cabinets. Now you can take the whole lot and you can put them on a little iPod, is it? Yeah. Right? Big as your thumb. Technology is phenomenal. Yeah? Originally, if you wanted to make a phone call to Australia, you had to book it 2 weeks ahead. And there was, it's no exaggeration, and there was a cable which went all the way from England all the way to Australia. Cable. And it took them 5 years to lay it. Now, you take a little thing out of your pocket, press a few buttons and speaking to someone in Australia. So ASOS symbolises technology going forward, right, in all spheres of science. One can't deny that it goes through. That's ASOS. With regards to the past, what have they got to look back to? Like they've got any yichus? They come from anything special? They've got no past. Yishmael is just the opposite. Yishmael is very poor on technology. In the scientific world, it's not up to much. Nobel Prize winners, I think, in the last 25 years, I think there was one Arab who achieved the Nobel. It's in the world of science. Eden, for example, on the other hand, 32% of Nobel Prize winners are Jews, although they are 0.0000 something percent of world population. So Yishmael has got the mind of it, but they look back, they come from Abraham. They've got a past, they come from somewhere. So you've got those two, right? Yishmael have got a past, and past is indicated by the chewing of the cud. It swallows the food, brings it up again, which is chewing over the past. That's Yishmael. Esau sticks his feet out. Look, got advancement, feet, indication of movement. Haven't got Yidden Baruch Hashem have got both those matters. Then we can look back to a glorious past. We really come from special, very special people. Hoffman said the fact that you find yourselves here, you don't have to go back far in your history to find there was somebody who was very, very special. Grandfather, great-grandfather, somewhere way back. It's not just by chance that you find yourself here. And as far as technology, you lead the world in lots of areas, right? Very common. 80% of world communication has got somewhere in their system Israeli technology. 80%. In all areas. So a Yid has got to look back, and we're not talking about the areas of Torah, our giants of Torah. It's a different realm altogether, right? Nothing to do with mundane things. But that's the idea of a Yid to be cautious. It's got to chew the cud, and it's got to have cloven hooves. I just want to finish off with, we understand and we believe that every single thing that happens is from Hashem. Right. Gemara even says, I'll call Neshima. Every time you can breathe in and can nourish your body with oxygen, it works. And here in the air, everything we take all for granted, but it's really miraculous. Digestion of food. If you take the best machine, what's the best car? Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is a good car. No, try pouring into it a bottle of oil, a bottle of ketchup, and a bottle of Coke. So it just won't work. And yet we put down into our systems a whole lot of things. If you had one meal, right, and you took all the food from that one meal, a starter, a middle course, and afters, and put it into one dish, and mix it all up, right, and try to eat it, I don't think you'd be very comfortable. Yet we put it all down into our little bodies, and it probably sorts it out nicely, right? Nourishes this, that, and the other. Everything is a miracle. So every single stage. Just want to see what you think about this. I daven in, it's got another 30 seconds. I daven in Yosef. There's a big base of medrash there, right? And during the week it's very well organised, and every 20 minutes you can find a minyan. Good minyan, there's no problem at all. Shabbos, a lot of people come together, and the base of medrash is full. And they've got different levels. Each place is established at a different time. And it's Mokum Torah. 24 hours a day you can find people learning there. Literally 24 hours a day. I come 7 o'clock in the morning, I think, I'm going for davening, I think I'm a big subject. And then I see a whole host of people are just going away for sure. They've already started and learned. So there's a Torah which starts an hour before nets. It's pretty early. Anyway, so I'm down in there one day, and some of the windows are open, and a pigeon is flying around, right? And suddenly my son says to me, watch out. Positive lesson, right? I could have said, look, this happened to me, probably my davening is of no value, it's yuck. So I said, that would be a pretty negative message. supposed to take out a message from everything, but there has to be something which is positive. And what would you think would be a positive message from that situation? If you've got any good positive message, you can let me know. I was lucky that I escaped. I wasn't actually sitting on the seat when it happened. And just to end up with, now is the time when we mourn the Rebbe Akiva's Talmidim. 24,000 Talmidim passed away. 24,000. I remember when I was in yeshiva, there was one bocher, he had leukemia and he didn't survive and he passed away. Yeshiva was pretty broken. There was one bocher. The whole world of Torah collapsed. Right? Now Rebbe Akiva is the Rebbe. He has to take responsibility. So you might think, well, Hashem's not interested. Look what's happened to all my life's work. No, nothing of the kind. Kept going. But all the stories you hear about Rebbe Akiva are always very positive, whatever the situation. Right? So it's also a lesson we have to know. Remember, the results getting late now, but whatever the situation, one has to take note, see what's happened, realise it comes from Hashem, and take from it a message of positive activity.